battle horns. Now there is nothing, no more exciting way to hunt whitetail deer than hit the antlers together and eventually have a big old buck come in on you. And it's kind of like saying, hey buddy, if you want some more of me, come get me, or is there anybody else around here that wants a piece of me? I'm looking for a monster type deer. I mean a huge monster type deer. Always be ready though when you rattle antlers, because you never know what size buck's going to come into you.
Meet Larry Wiseman, the Elvis of deer hunters. He's studied and pursued North America's most popular big game animal for over 50 years.
He's hit. I see him. He's going right over there. He's right over there.
On this episode of Winchester's World of Whitetail.
Winchester's World of Whitetail is brought to you by the Dallas Safari Club, promoting conservation, education, and ethical hunting worldwide. Nikon, the trusted name in optics. Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Thompson Center, America's master gunmaker. Cabela's, the world's foremost outfitter. The Buck Bomb blows away traditional scents. And by Bad Boy Buggies, they'll never hear you coming.
That's the way they're supposed to do, except be bigger than that one.
Ranging from the subarctic to the tropics, the white-tailed deer, Odocoileus virginianus, the Virginia deer to the first European settlers, comes in some 30 subspecies. One of the best known, and certainly most avidly hunted, is the whitetail who calls South Texas home.
I've gotten to hunt a lot of places, but occasionally I do get to come home and kind of hunt in my backyard, which is South Texas. South Texas is one of the finest whitetail destinations on earth.
Prime Texas whitetail territory lies in the brush country between San Antonio and Laredo, and in the heart of it sits Pearsall, Texas, and Los Cazadores hunting headquarters, command central to the world-famous Los Cazadores deer contest.
Look like they're going to be entered in the contest too. Look at that. Basic 6x5, actually 6x6. Got a little kicker coming off here, kind of a mutual base. Look at this one. That was really cool looking. Looked like it broke, maybe busted that pedicle a long time ago. It looked like it's putting on two main beams. Got this big old drop over here. Look at that. That is beautiful. You just find one like either one of those now. We'll be in good shape. If you think you really know whitetail deer and you know how to hunt them up in the North Country or maybe in the Southeast or in the Pines or whatever, if you ever come down here to South Texas, I think you're in for a little bit of a shock. It is a very, very dense, almost myriad of thorns together. I mean, it's an unbelievable dense type of country. And sometimes the way you hunt it is you hunt little cuts that run through it, little roads along the edges of fences, or maybe where they push cattle, or little roads to the pastures that they call senderos. Whitetail deer in South Texas, the distance between the bedding area and the feeding area, a lot of times is how far he can reach out there and grab a bite while he's laying down. So you gotta, they're still whitetail deer, but you've got to hunt them a little bit differently than you do any place else.
Larry Wiseman has taken up temporary residence on the Machen Ranch in South Texas. He hasn't done much with the decor yet, but he wants to make sure the air is freshened with the crisp fall scent of doe urine. Yes, whitetail hunting is a clinical mental disorder, and there are few lengths within the law and hunting ethics to which a hunter won't go in the eternal hope of seeing Mr. Big step out of the brush and come into range.
5 or 6 on the left. But I need a better look at him. I'm trying to shoot at least a 5-year-old deer. And there's some big, big 4-year-olds here. God, he's good. Oh, he's not big-bodied. Neck is just past his point of his jaw. Didn't have any jowls at all. Got a top, straight bottom. I think he's about a 4. He could be 5, but I think I'd be stretching it. Oh, he's got me pegged. That wind is blowing right toward him. The breeze has switched. It was out of the south, now it's out of the west. Right, really fortunate he's got me pegged and I can't get my shooting sticks moved around, because I'd be tempted on that one. Oh my goodness, what a deer. Oh my God, to pass up bucks like that. That almost give you a heart attack right there.
Botox.
What did you say?
It's Botox. Some of the older bucks have figured out how to use it to confuse guys like you.
You're kidding me, right?
Nope, that buck's no spring chicken.
Looks like he's 9 point. Man, that's one of those deer that is either a 3 or a 7-year-old deer. Fairly small bodied deer though. Got good mass. Where else I've hunted in the world of whitetails, as far north as you can go, to down into Mexico. There is no place on earth that compares with these whitetails in South Texas. Hunting about 3,500 acres, that gives me the opportunity to pick up and move and go to different places. We saw a buck this morning that was a 180 plus buck. I mean, he rattled him up, he came in just like you want him to. The problem was, we'd try not to shoot anything under 6 years old out there, and he'd look like I'd look at him one way and he looked like he's 4. I looked at him another time, he looked like he's 5. If you saw a buck with a rack like that, would you shoot him? I suspect most hunters would. But if you're into a really good management program and you're trying to grow top-notch deer, you don't want to just look at the antlers. When you see a deer, regardless of his antlers, and particularly if he's a big rack buck, first thing you want to do is just act like you sawed those antlers off, like they just totally disappeared. You want to look at the body, you want to look at his face. Deer have a tendency to age in terms of, as they get older, almost like people do. You know, people in a young age have a very tight face in terms of skin around their face. As they age, the skin turns a little bit saggy and you start developing jowls like I'm hiding with my beard. If you look at the body sides of them in terms of, or the body conformation rather, if a deer's got a straight line on top, straight line on bottom, chances are he's still a young deer. If he's kind of sway back, he's got a big old pop belly, then there's a good chance that deer's probably 6, 7, 8 years of age, which they can be that old and get that old on a good management program if they're not shot earlier in life. But if you're into a good management program and you want to grow more big bucks, you've got to pass up some bucks, including sometimes bucks that look like this, if they're not in those older age classes. Gonna use in there, set up our decoy, put out a fair amount of buck bomb, doing heat estrus scent, back off, sit and watch, rattle. If nothing comes in, we may pick up and move a little bit later, but there's been a good buck sighted down here in the past, not very wide, supposedly plenty tall, and at least a 7-year-old like we're looking for. Hopefully he'll show up this afternoon.
At this point, we should perhaps look away. But as long as there's doe urine in aerosol cans, Wiseman is going to continue blanketing the region around his stand with a fine mist of the rank substance in hopes it'll pique the interest of a rutting buck. But man, once that stuff gets in your nose, you smell it for days.
South Texas is a desert, kind of maybe just an extension of the Chihuahuan Desert, if you will. And like so much of the desert type country, in the wintertime it can be bitterly cold in the morning, but by 10 o'clock it can be in the 60s. By the afternoon it can be in the 70s and 80s. That's very typical of South Texas as well. So you never really know what kind of weather to expect, and you don't know for sure whether, hey, it was cool in the morning, the deer move really well. When it turns really warm in the afternoon, sometimes they just kind of become a little bit more lackadaisical and they kind of stay bedded up in the shade and move more after the sun goes down.
And now a scene from the famous movie, Toro, Toro, Toro.
As soon as I set up on the edge, I noticed there's a Mexican fighting bull in the guys use when they're doing any kind of team roping, used for practice. And I look down there and here's this bull. I mean, he looks like the absolute epitome of the Mexican fighting bull. And next thing I look down there and he is scratching the ground, he's throwing stuff all over the place, and I'm going, oh, this might not be so good here in just a little bit. I'm willing to take on any big whitetail buck, but a little over 1,000-pound Mexican fighting bull that may have it in for me for whatever reason, I don't want to mess with him. I thought that just discretion was the better part of valor, to get the heck out of there while the getting was good.
So Mr. Whitetail folds his matador's cape and lives to retreat another day.
As you can tell, weather changes very quickly here in Texas. It's about 20 degrees warmer than it has been. Temperature's about 58. We got a southeasterly wind blowing, getting a little bit of a later start simply because it was so foggy that I couldn't see and I couldn't really get in the area that I wanted to. To me, it's one of those mornings where, looking back in years past, it's either going to be an absolutely fabulous morning in terms of rattling and seeing bucks, or an absolute dud. I've seen it go both ways. You got to try it. You've only got so many days to hunt. We got a little yearling buck coming at a dead run. In South Texas, we generally have a good buck to doe ratio, meaning a close to 1-to-1 ratio, which also equates into a lot of bucks being able to hear you when you hit the antlers together. I like to set up to where basically I can see downwind or quartering wind. What I try to do is set up so that I've got shooting lanes left and right, because I shoot both left and right-handed. And the tendency is for a buck, especially mature bucks, to try to come in downwind. When that buck comes in totally downwind, if the wind's blowing like this, by the time he gets right here, he's going to cinch you, he's going to spook. So it's nice to have open lanes this way, this way. But I always have a tendency to watch downwind because I know that's where the animal is going to go. I hit the horns together, I look down, there's a monster buck standing there about 70 yards away. I mean, he is wide, he is tall. Immediately I'm getting the shooting stick set up, but I thought, well, I better look to see which one it is. You're kidding. No, it was. It was the same buck that we rattled up the day before. I mean, looking at him today, that deer looked younger than he did yesterday. Yesterday I thought he might have been possibly 5. Today he looked like he was 4 and even 3. Not much of a neck, real slender body, really tight face, but just an ungodly set of antlers. If he comes in and rattling horns, tell me that buck is right in his prime and he's probably doing a lot of breeding. He's leaving a lot of good genetics, and that's kind of what all this deer management is all about. Got a place I want to try right on the river down in the tall grass. Let's see if we can find something there, because that may be where I set up this afternoon if I don't come back here. Got a shooting alley here, one there, one there, one there. He's a little bit behind me.
Winchester's World of Whitetail is brought to you by the Dallas Safari Club, promoting conservation, education, and ethical hunting worldwide. Nikon, the trusted name in optics. Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Thompson Center, America's master gunmaker. Cabela's, the world's foremost outfitter. The Buck Bomb blows away traditional scents. And by Bad Boy Buggies, they'll never hear you coming.
Switchgrass is a grass that can grow 6-7 feet tall, so it's kind of spooky when you get right down to it. This is also the land of big rattlesnakes.
Look at you, the brave hunter, acting like a yearling doe.
You ever been snake bit? It'll curl you up like a gut-shot coon.
Earth to Larry, you're wearing snake boots.
That only stops the little ones.
My gosh, I thought I was in Africa for a while. Tall grass. Right back over there looks like a good setup spot. Should be able to cover some of this country in either way. Let's try to rattle in there. Deer taking the path of least resistance. Man, look at this scrape. But look, that deer has just been there. That is just real fresh urine. Been worked just in the last few moments. That's the second of those I've seen. The other one wasn't quite as fresh. Probably hid this way in that thick stuff. See if I can sit up on the edge of it. Dare to be different. Rattle some early in the morning. If that doesn't work, rattle middle of the day. Generally, when those bucks are in that pattern of coming to antlers during the day, sometime during the day, they're going to respond to horn. It's been a while now since I rattled, but sometimes those bucks come in so slow. That grass is so tall out there, there could be herd elephants out there. Good thing so. There's the buck right there. Standing right there in that tall grass. He's got at least 9 points. It's an older deer. He's probably about a 5-year-old deer. And he's a really nice deer. 9 point, I mean, any place else an absolute trophy. On this particular ranch, it's so intensively managed. A 9 point of that size, probably in deer in the mid 130s or so, that is a 4 or 5-year-old deer, is considered a management buck. So immediately I get the pistol set up. I got my Encore up there, knowing that that 30-06 has got magical powers. Barely make them out. Man, that grass has got to be 6-7 feet tall right there. I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm not sure I'm going to get a shot at him or not, but there's a cut, a Sendero cut, right before it gets in the brush. When he steps into that thing, I really start grunting. He's hit, I see him. He's going right over there. He's right over there. See a flash of white right over there somewhere. Right there. As he ran through the brush, I thought I saw a flash of white to where maybe he just kind of tumbled over. So I went over and picked up a blood trail. There's a bunch of blood right here. There's some back here too. He's bleeding a lot. More blood here. A little bit of blood right here. Look at this. Up high. Blood all in through here. A lot of blood down here. Look where he's right here. There's a deer there. He's down. Oh yeah, that's him. That's him. That is him. Oh, I'm not gonna need that. Oh man, he's every bit as good as I thought he was. Would you look at that? He's got 9 points. Oh man, that's at least 9-10 inches long. Got a little extra point coming up right there. Decent brows. Those are 10 inches probably. 9 to 10. good 5 or 6. Love the fact that he just almost cooks back around and comes together. Beautiful buck. Beautiful, beautiful deer. Absolutely love whitetail deer hunting. There's nothing compared to it, especially when they come to horns. Even if they come in slow like this one did. You can't ever give up. You gotta keep trying. Gorgeous, gorgeous deer. I may just be back here on Mr. Machen's place trying to see if I can't find that really big buck that I'm looking for. Only time will tell how the cards play out in this one, but I'm not about to give up yet. There's still a few days of Texas hunting season left.